Hello everybody. Today, as promised, we're going to be taking a look up the West Coast Main Line towards Birmingham New Street. We'll be travelling on 2 London Midland trains, first from Euston to Milton Keynes and then another from Milton Keynes to Birmingham via Northampton. While we'll see some Virgin trains en route, we'll save our journeys on them for when we're going further up the West Coast Main Line later on towards Merseyside, Manchester and perhaps even Scotland in future videos. So the West Coast Main Line inside London poses a fairly unique challenge in that it's 6 tracks all the way to just before Watford. And that's because the Watford DC lines run alongside the West Coast Main Line proper. Because of that, it's the only line where 2 of the tracks, the fast tracks, have to stay underground until right at the edge of London. So you don't see the fast tracks until now when we get to Bushey. And that's because of the scale of the map. So recall that each tile here is 120 metres. So where you have 6 tracks next to each other, that's 700 metres. So if you can imagine looking at a map of London and drawing a line along the West Coast Main Line out of London from Euston, which is 700 metres wide, you'll see why it's a problem and why we need to put some of the tracks underground. You might think, why not just make the map at a larger scale? Well, I guess there are 2 reasons for that. One is that the size of this map already pushes the bounds of what's possible in Simutrans, and I think is in fact beyond what is the officially supported size of a map. And so to make it even bigger would, I think, invite errors of all sorts. The other is that in most parts of the map, the scale is not an issue at all. It's only in the centre of London, the centre of Birmingham, I guess the centre of Manchester as well, a few other crowded urban centres where you even notice the scale being a problem. In most places there's plenty of room to put all the tracks in without any trouble, so you'd be making a lot of extra work for yourself and inviting all sorts of problems if you were to make a bigger scale map. Maybe years down the line when computational power is better than it is now, it will be possible to make a better scale than this, but I think this is about the limit one can hope for at the moment. So we're at Milton Keynes now and about to switch services to the Birmingham New Street train. Let me say a little bit about what trains you can see on this route so far. So the West Coast Main Line doesn't have a complete range of services yet because I haven't yet built Manchester or the line up to Scotland. So what you're seeing on the fast lines is all the trains to Birmingham and Wolverhampton, also the hourly Chester service and the hourly Liverpool service, as well as all the London Midland trains. So I guess you get about 2/3 of the full services, but the Glasgow trains, for instance, won't be added for quite some time yet. So we're approaching Northampton, where this train has about a 15-minute wait, but I've cut that out of the video because there's not really much to see. As we leave Northampton, I'll talk a little bit about the progress that's been made elsewhere on the map since I last made a video. Made quite a lot of progress on the west of the map, so Wales is now more or less complete. I've done the line up to Holyhead, as well as the Cambrian line towards Aberystwyth and up to other places whose names I won't even try to pronounce. The Heart of Wales line from Shrewsbury to Swansea. And the last few days I've been getting to grips with Merseyside lines in and out of Liverpool. I've got a complete Merseyrail network and a few of the northern local services there, as well as the trains in Liverpool to Euston and to Birmingham. What I'm working on at the moment is extending over towards Greater Manchester, which is a lot of work because it's a big population area, so there's lots of towns and cities to build, but that's going to be the next project. In terms of videos, there's a lot of the map that hasn't yet been shown in a video, so I think next will be probably the Midland Main Line to Nottingham. And I plan to make a few videos which, instead of following journeys, just remain stationary at a certain point for maybe an hour. So for instance, I think it'd be good to have a video which shows off 1 hour at Reading Station to see all the trains going in and out, maybe the same at Cardiff Central, and maybe a couple of other places. So we're getting into the Birmingham area now, and the last thing I want to talk about in this video is Birmingham New Street station. I think of all the stations that I've built on this map so far, Birmingham New Street has been the hardest to manage the services in and out. It's harder than the London terminuses because those stations typically just involve everything stopping and reversing and then going back the way it came. Whereas at Birmingham New Street you've got a mixture of through services and terminating services, and all has to be squeezed into a very small area. So the first thing is that the station's on 2 vertical levels. There was no chance of putting it all on one level. So we have a number of platforms over underground and then another 6 or so above ground. The second thing is that, as you can see, lots of these platforms are split, so we can allow 2 services to be essentially on the same platform, and that's by having one long platform with a gap in the middle, and that allows me to simulate the way in which real life trains sometimes occupy opposite ends of the same platform, which without that little hack is not really possible in Simutrans. But we've got to a point now where all the services in and out of Birmingham New Street are operational. Even the Virgin trains to Scotland are running as far as Wigan North Western, and everything seems to be running smoothly. So I'm pretty pleased and relieved that Birmingham New Street is working fine. I feel like if Birmingham New Street can be simulated without too much problem, then probably anything on the map can be. It's a pretty big milestone. So approaching the end of the video now. Thank you for watching again, and I hope you'll tune in for the next video.